To install your new polycarbonate greenhouse, the first step is to prepare an appropriate base. It should be firm and level, and for this, we're using solid concrete. The greenhouse we are installing here is the 6 foot by 6 foot Apex model, and will take approximately 8 hours to construct. For this specific greenhouse, you'll need an area at least 190 cm by 190 cm square. To construct this greenhouse, you will need an electric screwdriver with a 10mm nut and cross-shaped screwdriver bits. You will also need a hand screwdriver, drill, stepladder, spirit level, square, tape measure, and a small 10mm spanner. This greenhouse requires 2 people for assembly and should only be constructed on a dry, calm day. Make sure to wear protective gloves where possible and take regular breaks. Your greenhouse will arrive flat packed and boxed. Check all parts against the parts list before beginning construction and identify each component. The components will all feature part numbers on them for easy identification. To prepare the greenhouse panels and to protect them from adverse weather, we are also going to use clear silicone sealant with an application gun. This is not included with the kit, but is highly recommended. To begin your greenhouse, using your instructions, refer to the parts needed for the base frame assembly and identify the required pieces. For the base, align 2 of the F02 base sections at a right angle and secure together using the F01 ground spike and 4 bolts and nuts for each corner. Repeat this for all 4 until you have a square. With the base frame constructed, it is advisable to set these into a concrete base. To do so, dig holes to the length of each corner spike. Ensure your base is in the correct position and square across the angles. Also use a spirit level to ensure the base is level. Fill each hole with quick setting postcrete and add water, mixing within the holes as you go, and follow the instructions on your packet. With the base set in position, you can now work on the panel framing. Place the F03B front framing at the front of your base in the orientation shown. Secure it with bolts down through the pre-drilled holes into the base frame, and secure it with a nut at each end. Affix the F04 framing around the 3 other sides in the same method. Slip a bolt through the holes in each corner of the frame, and hook an FB13 clip under the base and over each one. Secure loosely with a nut. The 4 F05 corner uprights need to be orientated so that the sides with channels face into the building, overlapping the base frame. Slide the corner uprights over the previously inserted bolts before securing the nuts tightly. Slide 2 bolts into the front-facing channel of the rear right upright. Place an angled F19 plate over the top bolt as shown. The F18 frame can then be placed over the bolt on each end and secured in place with a nut. Make sure that the flat lip is level with the top of the upright frame. Slide the second bolt into the plate recess and secure with a nut. Repeat this for the opposite upright. Place the bolt into the left-hand channels of the greenhouse framework before sliding an F18 frame over the top at each end. This needs to be positioned 20mm below the top of the frame on each side. Slip an F29 bracing frame over the bolt too, diagonally aligning it with the base frame and secure with a nut. Affix a second F18 on the right-hand side of the greenhouse in the same method as before. At the rear left corner, slide an F30 brace over the top of the lower plate bolt and reaffix the nut. Use an FB13 clip to slip under the base. Place a bolt through the loop and attach the F29s and F30s where they meet the base. Loosely secure them with nuts. Repeat this for both sides of each corner. Insert a bolt into the channel of the F03B with an FB13 clip and align the F10 upright over the frame as shown. Place the bolt through the F10 frame ridge and align the angled F30 frame over the same bolt and secure with a nut. Repeat this for the right hand side F11 as well, before sliding a bolt into the channel of each upright. Align an F17 bar over the previously inserted F19 plate bolt and secure with the nut. Affix the other end to the bolt within the F11 upright, making sure that the bar is level and secure with a nut. Repeat this for the other side. The rear F08 and F09 uprights need to be installed in the same method. Make sure to insert an extra bolt within each vertical channel. Secure the uprights into the horizontal F18 framing holes with a bolt. The 4 vertical side frames also need to be affixed in the same manner, inserting a bolt into the open channel of the F23 and attaching it to the F18 bar with a nut. The bottom of the frame attaches to the base frame in the same method as before. These uprights will also need an additional bolt to be inserted. There are now some additional framing pieces which will make use of the previously inserted bolts. Align the L-shaped framing pieces so that the ends line up with the holes in the diagonal framing. Use the additional bolts of the uprights to secure the frame in the centre. Repeat this for both sides and the back of the greenhouse. These will provide additional support for the glazing panels. With the wall framework installed, we can now insert the side glazing. Remove approximately 2 inches of the plastic covering from the edge of each side of the panel. This plastic protects the glazing, but can be tough to remove later. The white coloured plastic indicates the side of the glazing treated with UV protection, and therefore needs to face the outside of the greenhouse. In order to help protect your greenhouse from adverse weather conditions, we are going to use some silicone sealant around the edges where the polycarbonate meets the metal frame. Again, this is not included with the kit, but is highly recommended. Wipe down the metal surfaces and edges of the panels with a dry cloth to remove any surface dirt. Use a silicone gun to apply a small bead of silicone into the channel of each frame at all contact points. Begin by inserting the rear F31 panel into the grooves of the uprights as shown. Slide each panel in slowly, allowing the silicone to spread over both surfaces. If any silicone has leaked from the edge, wipe this away with a damp sponge. Arrange the F33 and 32 panels in the correct order as shown and insert them in the same manner. Repeat this with the front and side panels too. Loosely fix a bolt with a nut into each hole along the FB06 framing. Align the FB06 top framing over the top of the side panel as shown. The angled lip needs to face into the building, with the top of the glazing slotting into the underside groove. The bolt should slide into the upright framing channels. Secure the nuts tight in place, making sure the frame is level across the length. Repeat this for the other side. Insert 2 more bolts into the channels of each front and rear upright frame. These are to support the eaves frames. At each corner, insert 2 bolts with nuts into the angled plate, as well as into the angled end of the top side frame. Starting with the front right frame, slide the F07 down at an angle so that the previously inserted bolts slide into the channel as shown. Make sure the end of the eaves frame is flush with the side frame and repeat this for the opposite F06 frame and for the back eaves frames too. Slide 3 bolts into each eaves frame channel. Where the frame meets the upright, place an F19 plate in orientation shown and secure with 2 of the closest previously inserted bolts and nuts. Slide 1 bolt into the channel of the F07 frame as shown, and 2 into the F06. Slide the FB07 ridge bar between the 2 apex points, slotting the eaves frames into the recesses and securing with a bolt at each side on each end. You can now remove the protective plastic from your glazing panels. Insert the F40 glazing triangle into the grooves of the front apex as shown. This needs to be braced into position with the F12 frame below and fixed in place with a bolt at each end. Loosely secure a bolt into the holes of the side framing as shown. Secure a bolt into the ridge bar in the corresponding holes. Slot a bolt into the end of each F24 roof frame and align them between the ridge bar and the greenhouse side. The frame needs to slot into the pre-inserted bolts as shown and are fixed in place. Slide the remaining F24 frames and attach them at the top and bottom on the opposite side. Using the same method as before, insert the F35 full-size roof panels into the respective slots, making sure to use silicone within all of the frame edges. Insert the F36 panel into the central grooves until it is flush with the other panels. The F28 bar needs to align over the top of this panel in the orientation shown. You can then position the L-shaped roof bracing over the pre-inserted bolts, aligning it with the F28 holes and secure the two together. Use the previously inserted third bolt to attach the end to the eaves frames. Repeat this for the other side, aligning the bracing centrally between the eaves and the apex. Slot 2 bolts into the central channel of the F13 door frame. These need to line up with the pre-drilled holes in the F12 frame as shown and then be secured with nuts. Slot another bolt into the very end of the door frame. Align the F21 support over the bolt and secure at the top and bottom with nuts. Slide the FB05 gutters within the groove of the top side frames in the orientation shown. Using your instructions, refer to the parts needed for roof vent assembly and identify the required pieces. Take the F25 framing and slot an F26 frame on the corner. Attach it with a nut and bolt. Holding these in place, attach the second F26 frame into the other corner so that the pre-drilled holes overlap. Slide the F37 glazing within the C-shaped frame you have created, before locking it in place with the F27 frame as shown. Align the vent stay over the two holes in the bottom frame and secure in place using two FB16 screws. Position the completed roof vent into the groove of the ridge bar as shown and slide it along into position. Attach the two plastic stay catches onto the F28 frame using two FB16 screws each. Using your instructions, refer to the parts needed for door assembly and identify the required pieces. Align the F14B frame against one side of the F16B side frame and secure using an FB15A screw. Attach the F15 and F14B frames to the same side frame as shown. Slide the F38 and F39 glazing pieces within the frame, using some silicone to help ease the panels in. Cap the glazing with the second F16B framing piece. Slip an F22B door runner into each end of the upright framing as shown. Align the screw holes and affix with an FB16 screw. Place the door onto the door track of the greenhouse. Ensure it runs smoothly before inserting a bolt at each end of the lower track, and one in the top right. The door catch is assembled by placing the small screw within the washer and over the hook. Thread this through the F10 door upright and attach with a small bolt on the other side. Loosely attach a screw into the F16B door upright as shown so that the hook can catch it. Your greenhouse is almost finished. Drill a hole through the glazing in the side of the greenhouse using the frame holes as a guide. Place a washer over a bolt and thread this through from the outside of the greenhouse, attaching with a bolt on the other side. Repeat this for both sides and the back of the greenhouse. Place the GP2 apex caps over the end of the ridge bar at the front and back of the building. The GP1 caps need to be inserted into the end of each rain gutter, with the GP3 L and R caps going on each end of the door support. Affix these last two with a bolt through each cap. Your greenhouse is now complete.